good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is. You are very, very welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Greg Friel, from Freelance Music and Media, and I am joined today by the lovely Basia Henderson. Basia, hello, how are you?
Hi, Greg. How everyone? Thank you for having me, Greg.
You know, you're very welcome. First of all, we did this before, and it was not long before lockdown, and everything that we spoke about just seemed massively irrelevant immediately. So it was kind of like, yeah, we really need to do this again sometime. So this is us doing this again sometime. Like a year on, I think, really from when we first spoke.
Exactly a year, actually. I think it was the very end of February last year.
Really, really,
hmm
it's probably just as well because from if memory serves me right, I looked terrible, and obviously it's all about me. So you know, at least I've got some half decent, ring lighting in my room here, so we can work on it a bit. But anyway, so for the folks at home who are listening to me talk absolute nonsense, uh, give us a little 30 seconds on who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, so I'm a transformative business and life coach. I work with, don't have a specific niche, but I seem to be lately I'm noticing my niche seems to be finding me. Okay, so I work with different types of clients. I've been working with leaders, business owners, and professionals in different fields, in legal, financial services, teachers, educators, psychologists, therapists, wellness therapists, people in legal, I said, just different types of professions, but actually the general thing that they have in common, they are high performers. They're doing really, really well in at least one area of their life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what comes with it very often, they are really disconnected in another area of their life, really stressed very often, and quite often they experience mental health problems because of that. Things like burnout, anxiety, depression, and all sorts of things like that. We know from living in a fast-paced environment, society. And actually, my newest group of people that I love working with is coaches.
Yeah.
Um, so that's who I work with.
Cool. So would you have said though that especially with high performers and people who've had these incredibly busy lifestyles, has the lockdown had a positive or negative effect on them? Obviously, there's loads of people who are dealing with different, mental health issues, and we hear about the stress of people feeling isolated through lockdown. But I'm wondering about the other side of that with the people who normally go at 100 miles an hour and their lives are very, very busy, but then they've had to stop. How has the lockdown affected those kind of people?
hmm Yeah. You know what I've noticed is that everyone has been impacted somehow, okay, one way or the other. I think it's been a shock to most of us, to say the least, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone, okay, maybe not everyone 100%, but many, many people experience some kind of stress or insecurity or, you know, fear maybe. Due to the pandemic, the lockdown, the like basically life and world stopping, put on hold for a while. And what I then observed is certain people dealt with this situation in a different ways. Okay, so yes, the people who have been living really fast-paced life, um, some of them slowed down and they really appreciated that change, and they
Mm-hmm.
really took their time to maybe do things that they've never had time to do. um, Focus on reconnecting with their families, with their friends, or with themselves, even,
Yeah.
reevaluating what they want in life, um, things like that. And then there are also other people, again, who have been living really fast-paced life, who got lost in this situation
Yeah,
because um, very often the choice to live a fast-paced life, and I'm very deliberate here to say choice, is is an escape from
sure.
something that we're not looking at. And these people actually had to look, they were forced to look at the certain parts of their lives who they were really running away from, and they found it really, really tough. Okay. And, you know, through the whole year, some of them found their way through it. So they, maybe it was tough for a while and then they go okay with it, and they maybe made some really, really amazing changes in their lives. Um, you know, on the other hand, there are people who at first they found it really good. It's amazing to slow down. But now, because it's been going on for quite some time, they're like, I'm just so done with it. I've had enough. I want to go back to my fast paced life
Sure.
and start creating more. Yeah.
I
So that's,
think certainly for me, I mean, I'm somebody who, up until the lockdown, my life was always just crazy in terms of, traveling and always on the move and, loads of different meetings. And so when it actually came down to you're not leaving the house, I kind of really liked it, because I was able to still function, able to still work, albeit in a different way. But all of the things that were stressful and exhausting in my life, which was really the travel side of things and going from flying from one thing to the next and limited time in between or whatever, because that disappeared, I was able to kind of just concentrate on doing the stuff that I enjoyed doing. And, that pace obviously just completely leveled off. But to your point about over time, you kind of like, yeah, okay, this is fine. But we all, we're humans. We need to interact with one another, and we're not used to being out there, you know, or rather not connecting with one another. I mean, it's great to be able to do, video calls and have that kind of contact, and stay connected to people. But it's never going to completely replace the one to one interaction of being in the room with somebody, is it?
hmm, that's true. Yeah, that's a great point.
So, would you have said that from this whole process, things have changed, for you in terms of has your work changed? I mean, I know you're somebody who you coach a lot of people, all over the world anyway, and this, you were doing this before, the whole lockdown experience. But has your working practice actually changed during this time?
Yes, yes, massively. And also, just going back to the what you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, that we're recording this one more time because what we talked about before was irrelevant. And it's not just irrelevant because the world was different, it's because like my work, everything I do
Absolutely, yeah.
changed so much. And I would say in the best way possible. I can really see it. So first of all, um, last year before the lockdown, I actually had another business, and I still have this business. It's just at the moment it's on hold. So I'm also a remedial and sports massage therapist. Um, and obviously, as you know, the close contact services had to stop for a few months, and then we started again halfway through the year, and
Yeah.
it's been really on and off, and it's never gone back to the same level of business. So I focused solely on my coaching business last year from March onwards. And coaching was something I was already doing. I started a few years ago, but it was part-time for me. And at the moment I'm doing it full time, working, building my coaching practice to the full-time level. And also the way I coach people, the way I understand how we work as humans also changed. What made a massive difference for me was I hired my own coach in March. Actually, it just coincided with the beginning of pandemic, and we worked for most of last year. And he's still mentoring me. So you know, I started my work, my coaching work deepened. So I now go with my clients. How we work is we really go to fundamentals. I don't
Yeah.
use tools and techniques, which is something I did before. I did my coaching diploma course, so I'm trained professionally as a coach. But even within that course, which was, by the way, amazing, but I was taught frameworks and tools
Sure.
to coach people, and these are amazing for a beginner coach. They can be used as an aid, as a crutch, if you will, at the beginning. But what I've learned is really how we operate as humans, how our mind works, how our psychology works. Okay, and this is what I do with my clients at first when we work. As I said, I'm a life and business coach. So anytime someone comes to me when they want to make some changes in their business or work on some projects, up level something they do professionally, or even, other things like relationships, wellness, what we start with is the fundamentals. So I'm helping them to understand how their psychology works, how their mind works, and how they create their reality, what forces are at play, um, that create their reality moment by moment.
Yeah.
And that, when we understand that, we're able to drop into the present moment instead of living either in the past or in the future. And this is what I've been living like that my life for
I think
many,
so
many
many of us
years.
do, and certainly it's something that I've really, really worked on. From a self development point of view, that living in the present rather than dwelling in the past or being, anxious about the future,
Hmm.
literally focusing on the moment, that I'm in and going, okay, this is, right now, where am I and what can I do just now, So I think this speaks to, you know, the mindset shift as well that, so many of us need to do. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who over the past year have had to make that shift, that adjustment from worrying about, okay, all of these changes have taken place here, but I kind of need to make that. Certainly, what I told a lot of clients was, okay, that's gone. Think of it like that's gone and that's not coming back, and focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. And if you're able to kind of make that shift and you're in the moment of thinking, okay, I can do this now, and not getting obsessed or freaking out about things that you can't control. If it's something that you can control, then okay, by all means, then do something about it. But if you can't control it, then you've really kind of got to let it go to a certain extent. And obviously, we're dealing with a global pandemic, so that's always going to be unconsciously there, even if you're not actively thinking about it, because the world's different. Everybody in the entire world is behaving differently from the way they would normally behave. So, how much would you say mindset has to play in how we cope with everything?
Yeah, that's everything basically. And so going back to what I said, that certain people, and I mean people from the same group of people who are busy, high performers, always like, doing really amazing things in the world and working on amazing projects, creating literally impossible. Some people found themselves really well in this situation and some didn't. And the difference, the only difference is um, how they're perceiving the whole situation. So, um, okay, most people think that we experience the things that are going on out there outside of us, and this is the outside in approach to life. Okay, we think that whatever we're feeling is whatever is happening out there, and it's completely wrong. Okay, we tend to miss the very, very sort of obvious, it's so obvious that it's so easy to miss factor in this whole equation, is that we think and we experience our reality through thought. So whatever is happening out there is happening. Okay, I'm not saying we make it up, but how we see it, how we perceive it, how we understand it is 100% through our thought. Okay,
Absolutely.
so so we don't feel the outside reality, we feel our thinking. And that's the whole difference of
Yeah.
some people will be very calm in this whole situation. They will be, okay, it is what it is. I'll see what I can do. I'll be patient. I'll be resourceful, creative, whatever. And some people will go into a complete panic mode. Will try to fix the problem that is not there to fix anyway. The
Hmm.
only thing we can sort of work on or look to improve or understand is how we perceive our reality and how we respond to the situations that are happening out there.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about this in terms of music that, you know, we can shove on certain kinds of music and as a reaction to the way that we're feeling, or we shove on certain kinds of music because we want to project a certain feeling. So it's like we want to get there. So it's, it's either reactive, or we're actually just wanting to project a certain feeling.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, how we react to everything that's what our life is. Our internal life is our life. Yeah, and in ways that most people just kind of go, oh, but this happened to me, right? That happened to everybody, at some point probably. It's really how we react to it.
Yeah, what I've seen is what I've noticed is that there are blessings in every situation. Always, no matter what is really going on, and it's really we have the power to choose. um, if we want to focus on those blessings or we want to focus on the problems and what's not working. And, if we keep focusing on the problems grow. That's the truth. And that's the fundamental misunderstanding of people. And I mean, not just people who don't understand life or business or whatever. I'm talking about highly intelligent people. It's just how we are conditioned is that when there is a problem, we need to go and fix the problem. That's my bad. Wanted to make appearance as well.
Special guest.
Yes. So it's so compelling to when there is a problem to go and first of all think about the problem, trying to figure it out, and then trying to fix the problem when we're experiencing it in the full blown kind of experience of it. And I mean, what I mean by that is that when we're experiencing the problem, our mind is really distorted because we go into like really contracted space where we're not seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So what I've really learned is to leave the problem alone. And I don't mean ignore the problem, okay, because I sometimes when I talk to people who are very solution oriented, they're
Yeah.
like, it's an insult to my intelligence. Like, when I have a problem, what do you mean by like just leave the problem alone? Okay, I'm not mean like ignore the problems and just live in a la la land. What I mean is when things feel really icky at that point, you're not going to come up with good solutions
Yeah.
anyway. Whatever solutions you come up with, they're going to be distorted anyway. So leave
Absolutely.
it alone and wait for your mood to shift, for the feeling to pass, because it does, because the nature of the mind is that it's self-corrects. So meaning like when your mind is distorted, when you leave it alone and don't try to fix it, it fixes itself. It goes up to the level of clarity, and from that level of clarity you can then look at the problem with fresh eyes, and you will always 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 create much better solutions. So this is what I've learned, and this is what I've been helping my clients with. And I've seen huge transformation in people who are dealing with really critical situations. I mean, I'm coaching at the moment uh, a woman who's a leader. She's a charge nurse in a respiratory ward in Dundee Hospital. So,
Hmm.
as you can imagine, during pandemic, they deal with emergency all the time. Almost like the full shift sometimes can be emergency after emergency after emergency.
Yeah.
And when I helped her find this grounding, this, finding this peaceful space when things don't go really well, she's able to not react but respond from a really calm space in the present moment without pre-planning everything. And even when she's working a really busy shift that seems like she's in the middle of the chaos around her in the outside environment, on the inside she's able to be completely still, make really sharp decisions that are the right decisions, help her team keep calm, and just just do the right things in the moment, because she's not guided by her loopy habitual panicked thinking.
Yeah.
She's working from the deeper space of going into her inner wisdom. And the inner wisdom is the resource that we all have within us all the time. It's just we don't use it enough. So this is what I help my clients with, to connect with that space
Yeah.
of inner wisdom, of inner peace, and deal with whatever is in front of them from that place.
Now, as much as we're talking about being able to deal with the present moment and being in the present moment, I think an awful lot of the stress of the situation as well comes from the fact that we don't know the future and we're looking for even just certain dates. When's this going to happen? When's that going to happen? So that we can plan our lives and get back to what we used to do, and whatever that's going to look like. So in terms of planning for the future, I think, would you say that so much of the stress of this is, we can only really think in terms of a few days ahead, maybe a week or two ahead, and we can't think, oh, I'm going to do this 4 months from now. When we can't really plan it, because there's all of these external factors, and as much as we are choosing to react in a certain way, there are just certain global limitations that are actually preventing us from doing things at the moment.
Okay, so I think at the moment we really can't guess what's going to happen. Obviously we want to make plans. It's not like are we have to suddenly stop living and wanting something in our life or planning. Of course we can do it, but at the moment, I find it really useful um, to be okay with not knowing, for myself. And
Yeah,
when I work with my clients, I help them with that, because you know control is really an illusion that we can control everything in our life. And
yeah,
again, going back to the what I mentioned, seeing blessings in disguise in this situation and every situation, I think this situation is really teaching us that we really don't have control, and we can be okay without having control. And sometimes when we drop this need for control, we actually live from this place of curiosity, openness, with this sense of wonder of what's going to happen, what's going to unfold, and really creating our life or creating our work in the moment, working with what we've got at the moment. And I've seen people creating amazing things from that space, because the, it's almost like they can't pre-plan everything, so they're not living in the future you know
yeah.
so they're
So it's kind of
actually.
forcing you into that, whether you want to or not. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, I suppose the thing is that quite a lot of people do react against it, though. It's like they want to have certainty, and they want to have, this is going to happen here, this is going to happen here,
Mhm.
and just having that pattern and that regularity. I mean, I'm somebody who's always kind of just gone from one moment to the next anyway. So it's, I mean, initially at the start of lockdown, those first couple of weeks, and everyone's running around crazy and freaking out, and then I was kind of like, oh yeah, yeah, this is just normal for me.
Mhm.
I've kind of always sort of been in that sort of space. So I think it depends on what your life is normally like as well, and being able to, whether you like having that certainty and that, regularity.
Yeah. Just to shortly speak to that, I see it this way, Greg. You're either in life or you're in your head. That's the only two choices, because when you're in the future or in your past, you're in your head, because future or past don't exist. They only exist uh, through thinking about it, you know. So it's basically illusions, you know. So you're either in your head, in your thinking, meaning in the past or future, or you're in the present, meaning you're in life, you're participating in life. You have a choice, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just thinking this is, everything about what we've been talking about this morning has been about living in the moment, which I just think is incredibly important for people to hear just now, because there's so many people who are panicking and dealing with a lot, as we all are, and I'm not belittling that in any way, but I think it is important to not lose sight of the important things that are right there in front of us, and gratitude for the little things along the way. And it's the little wins, that help get us through the day, and they, then mount up to, the big wins as we go along.
Hmm. Yes, exactly. Whatever you put your attention on grows in your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Basha, if somebody wants to find out more about the work that you do, how can they get in contact with you?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook, Basia Henderson. I actually do most things on my personal Facebook profile. I also have a group, Joy in Progress Collective. Uh, Also on Instagram, again, Basia Henderson, and on LinkedIn, Basia Henderson as well.
Fantastic, Basha. Thank you so much. And you can let your dog back in there.
She's out now.
All right. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks,
All
Greg.
right. Bye.